I want to get right to the Haldeman report, basically saying that what he's uncovered is that the machines that are utilized to count votes in Georgia, that they are vulnerable, that their software can be hacked into. Not saying it was, he said it can be, which is absolutely his analysis. Nobody's disputed that. The owner of the machine has certain software fixes for that, patches, if you will. But Brad Raffensperger says, I don't have time to do it right now. I'm going to do it in 2025. Well, we got 18 months. Explain this to us. Why not just go ahead, do the fixes recommended, and be done with it? Why now backpedal and say, I don't have time, I'm going to do it in 2025? And now you undermine again anybody's confidence in the integrity of the voting system in Georgia and especially Fulton County. Courtney.
Well, thanks, John, for having me this morning. And like you said, this report just came out. It was discussed about a year or two ago that this report existed. It never was released. They released it, the court in the case Curling v. Raffensperger, which has been here for years now, finally released, allowed for the release of the report. And like you said, it shows exactly what Georgia voters already knew. And the issue here is that voters don't have confidence in our elections in Georgia. They don't have confidence in the machine. They don't have confidence their vote is being counted. And this report shows just that. You can have a malicious user, software user, come in and they can hack into the machines. I mean, Haldeman literally received the image cast ballot matching marking device from Fulton County themselves to actually do this report. The problem now is that Brad Raffensperger has plenty of time between now and 2024, especially before the primary, to fix these problems and at least address them in a manner that will restore some kind of confidence back in Georgia voters. Right now, that's not happening, but he is our Secretary of State, and we have to kind of do what he says. However, I do think you're going to see a lot of pushback between now and the primaries for 2024 begin because of this report. Now, it just came out a couple days ago. It's about 100 pages long. There's a lot to go through. This is not my specialty, but everyone can read a report and understand it. And you're talking about hackers being able to get into machines, into specific precincts and alter certain votes. Not saying they did, but people lose candidates lose precincts by 5 votes all the time. Trump lost by 11,779 votes. So, who's to say that in 2024, that now that this report's out, that someone isn't going to go in there and actually do what the report says? Now, like you said, we did not see that happen in Georgia. The problem is that it could happen. And that alone, in my opinion, and I think most of Georgia's opinion, is that that's enough that our Secretary of State should change the devices that are being used right now for us to vote.
Listen, I don't think there's any question. And one of the things about the Haldeman report that I thought was so powerful is it was pretty specific on the ways that this can be hacked into. And look, one of the things he didn't say is, hey, here's what happened in 2020 or 2022. He didn't go there. He simply said, here's what could happen if you don't fix it, right? And the owner of the machines is basically own up to they have software update. And so why don't you just go ahead and install the update and be done with it and say thank you? I mean, this is what I don't understand about what Raffensperger is doing. He's got 2 options to me, right? Option 1 is, thank you, I'll find the resources, we'll roll up our sleeves, we'll work night and day to get these in. Thank you for pointing this out, right? That's number 1. Number 2 is, look, we can't get this done. There's too many of them, blah, blah, blah. I don't have the resources. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go to paper ballots in the 2024 cycle and fix it in 25. And I can simply do that because I'm the Secretary of State. And who's going to argue with paper ballots? Republicans aren't. What could the Democrats say? No, we want machine ballots so we can cheat. What are they going to say? Nobody can argue with it, but yet he's done neither of those 2 things. Why?
I think, John, that he doesn't really want to backtrack his words on what he said about the machines from 2020. We all know the second 2020 happened on Election Day, and actually leading up to Election Day, that people saw vulnerabilities in the machines, the QR codes. You heard that all the time about how people could not verify what that QR code actually said. And this report shows you can change that on the back end, which is a massive problem. And, you know, Brad said that 2020 was the most secure election in Georgia's history. That is not true at all. Have you ever seen a backlash or a following from an election now 3 years ago as you did in 2020? No. But Brad does not want to go back and say, I was wrong. This was not the most secure election. He wants to, you know, be known as the greatest Secretary of State ever, which will never happen. But going forward, like you said, there's no harm in him being a little humble, backstepping a little bit, fixing the updates on the machines, and having people want to go vote. The issue now is that people are now, what they did in 2020 for the runoff, they're not going to go vote. I mean, obviously, they should. We need to. That's kind of how our system. You have to vote, or you can't complain, or you know, you got to do something about it. But having this report be released and then having him not do anything afterwards to fix the problems, that is going to undermine. It already is undermining the confidence in our elections and transparency as a whole, which has been a problem in Fulton County, but the state as well.